why do we stay when I blame you for the things that weigh me down? 'Cause in the echo of your silence, I only hear what's best for me. Yeah, in the echo of your silence, I'm thinking more of her. She who wants to study your body, who gets the better version of you. I need the better truth. I need the better version of you. I need the better version of you. I need the better you. You talk about faith.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Live life. Live fully.
Now, if you want to change the way you look at yourself and what you do by making a decision concerning your priorities, then you may need to consider the following suggestions. Hi, my name is Omobola Stephen, and welcome to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Now, today we'll be talking about on a very interesting topic that I'm particular about, the need to set priorities. Yeah, I know it's a familiar word. Don't worry. However, I'll be focusing on the practical aspects that enhance the decision making and serve as an interesting thought exercises. Here's the thing, you can catch up missed episodes of this podcast on popular distribution platforms on iTunes and Diesel Listen Notes, iTunes, Google Podcast, on Catbox, on YouTube, on Podcast Addicts, on Purchase, and so on. Simply search for Live Elite by Omobola Stephen, or you can also like or subscribe to my YouTube page, Omobola Stephen. Have you ever noticed that the people who have nothing to do usually want to spend the time with you? Have you? Now, poet Carl Sandburg said, time is the most valuable coin in your life. You only will determine how the coin will be spent. Be careful that you do not let other people spend it for you. Now, I believe that the word is very deep. Your greatest possession is the 24 hours you have directly of you. So the thing is, or the question is, how will you spend it? Will you give into pressure or focus on priorities? Will you allow pointless emails, unimportant tasks, telemarketers, interruptions, and other distractions to consume your day? Or will you take complete responsibility for how you spend your time, take control of the things you can, and make your day yours? If you don't decide how your day will be spent, someone else will. Someone else will, and you don't want that at all, do you? So, ask yourself these questions. Number one question is, what is required of me? Any realistic assessment of priorities in any area of life must start with a realistic assessment of what a person must do. For you to be a good spouse or parent, what is required of you? To satisfy your employer, what must you do? Now, when we are doing priorities or when ordering priorities, always start with the requirement questions and give it a careful thought before moving on to the next question. The next question is, what gives me greatest reward? If you do only what you must do and what is effective, you will be highly productive, but you may not be content. Now, it's also important to consider what gives you personal satisfaction. However, I found that some people want to start with the reward question and go no further than that. No one can be successful who doesn't possess the discipline to take care of the first two areas before adding the third. Stephen Covey once said, the key is not to prioritize your schedule, but to scatter your priorities. Next is for you to stay in your strength zone. People really don't mind for average, or they don't pay for average. People don't go looking for a medical restaurant and merely movie when they go out at night. Employers don't award the contracts to the salesman known as Mr. Average. Now, finding a strength zone may take some time and exploration. If you don't already have a good handle on your strengths, then you may want to explore some of these. Now, number 1 is try and error. Nothing teaches you more than your successes and failures. You've got to take the risk of failing in order to find your successes. Next is a personality test. Will help to clarify some of your natural inclinations and help to reveal some strengths and weaknesses that you aren't aware of. Now we move on to personal experience. What personal experience is, you really got to feel for how well you do something by doing it repeatedly. Just remember this, experience isn't always the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. Now we move on to the counsel of others. Asking others to evaluate your effectiveness is not always fun, but it's always very helpful. Be sure to choose people who don't have an agenda other than to help you. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Live life. Live fully.
I never felt the way I do about anyone but you. To lose you now, I don't know what I might do. You're in all of my dreams, whether I'm awake or I'm asleep. My love ain't going anywhere, babe, I'm in this way too deep. It takes courage to admit the truth. I've been waiting forever. Didn't dream before, but now I do. Yeah, I can't wait.
Now, if it is important to you, you will find a way. If not, you will find an skills. Now, let's look at establishing clear goals. Remember, I'm talking about the need for you to set priorities. Now, establishing clear goals. When you're setting out to reach a goal ahead of you, it is important to ensure your goals are as clear, specific, and possible. I mean, they are as clear and specific as possible. Goals that are overly vague or too broad do not give you focus to achieve them. The University of Virginia recommends asking yourself a series of questions in establishing your goals. First, ask yourself why you're hoping to achieve the goal. If your motivation is not clear, you might not fully strive to accomplish the goals in the first place. So you need to be able to balance your priorities and ensure you have a deep introspection when you're setting priorities. Number 3, or next one, is planning. Once you know your goals and prioritize, you can establish a clear path to reaching them. Planning to meet your goals involves writing the steps that you can take to reach them. Very important. The more detailed and specific you can be in establishing your plans, the more it will be easy for you to follow each step to reach your goals. If your steps are too broad, you will have to redefine them more specifically later anyway. So doing it right the first time eliminates extra steps later on. So you need to be careful. While we like to set priorities for our tasks, we often forget what's really important. Instead of focusing on urgent but irrelevant tasks, take the time to evaluate which activities return the highest reward. Take your time. And so this is where I'll put a full stop on today's talk show. Thanks for stopping by to listen. Stay safe always. Catch you.